Hello, so before I get started, this tutorial applies to GameMaker Studio 1.4 and GameMaker Studio 2. There's not really any difference at all in how this works for either one. So yeah, with that in mind, let's crack on. So you might have seen recently my Twitch game, Tribal Tension, that I built for Ludum Dare, where players control the game directly from Twitch chat, just using various commands, !attack, !join, and so on. Or you might have also seen my custom Twitch overlay with goblins and a chat window, and lots of other people have now asked me how I'm doing this stuff, how I'm reading commands from the Twitch chat. It seems like some sort of black magic sorcery, right? Not really. Twitch uses IRC, which is a pretty simple protocol, and has an API for interacting with all of its stuff, and you can do just that just by using the networking functions in GameMaker, okay? There's no special plugins you need to get, no DLLs or anything like that you need to use, no extensions for GameMaker that you need to use. Now, I can't really give you a full tutorial on networking because honestly, I don't know a whole much about it. But you might ask, Sean, you were able to make this awesome Twitch game and you've been doing stuff with Twitch commands for a little while now. How have you been doing that if you don't know anything about networking? Well, luckily, someone else knows something about networking, and that would be John Wesley, KBJWes77, who has very, very kindly put together a GitHub repo called GM Twitch, lightweight open source Twitch interface for GameMaker Studio. He spelled GameMaker wrong, but it doesn't matter because he's made this awesome thing. So, in here is just a project. It's just a GameMaker project. Natively designed in GMS 1.x, but it will import super cleanly into GMS 2, which is what I'm going to be using in this video. But as I say, everything I do here applies to both pieces of software. So what this does is he's done all the networking stuff for you in order to actually connect to Twitch chat and connect to Twitch. So what I'm going to show you how to do in this tutorial is how to use this repo in the exact same way I did in order to create a simple Twitch chatbot or create a simple Twitch video game, a game that you can play from the Twitch chat. It's really, really simple. So come to this GitHub page, the URL of which will be in the description and is also probably on the screen right now. And hit this clone or download button in the corner and just hit download zip. All right. Just save that. I've already saved like 40 copies of this, but so I don't need to extract anyway because I've already got it. But get that, and then you want to, if you're using GameMaker Studio 2, you want to import it, or if you're using 1.x, you can just straight up open it. As I say, it's literally just a GameMaker project. So I'm going to come into GameMaker Studio 2 here. Don't worry about the fact I've got some space on the right here. I'm going to use that later to demonstrate Twitch chat. So I'm just going to import a project. This is Tribal Tension in the background, but I want to import, where is it, GM Twitch Master. I'll give it a Twitch API 2 because I've already saved the first one when I was working out the script for this video. Then that'll do its thing. If you're in GMS 2, it might take a couple of seconds because it'll produce this compatibility report, okay? You don't need to worry about any of this. This is stuff because we're importing a 1.x project, it thinks it needs to convert a bunch of stuff. But all the stuff it's converted were from the demo setup that he had in his project just to sort of show you how this works. And we don't actually need any of that for what we're going to do today. Okay, so delete the room that currently exists, delete the object that exists, and in scripts, and also in sprites, delete this. We're going to basically end up with a completely empty project here. So delete all the sprites. So you want to end up with nothing in your resource tree other than the scripts that have been imported. Also, right-click on compatibility and hit delete. Get rid of all those. We don't need any of these compatibility scripts that have been brought in because they were all brought in to do with that object and room, and we don't need them. And in 1.4, they won't be there or whatever, but if you're using 1.4 you should also delete the objects and so on because we don't need any of that nonsense. Okay, and we need even less of this. So if you're in GMS 2, delete that macro script. And also, okay, so this is basically what we wanted out of this. Okay, we've got just the scripts that this guy has written for us to connect to and work with Twitch streams and Twitch chat. Okay, he's got a bunch of extra functionality in here that we don't actually need. You can keep it if you want to, but in order to simplify, I'm going to get rid of it. So all this stuff under stream, that's stream get info, get thumbnail, and update info and async and all that other stuff. I don't want any of that. I just want to be able to interact with Twitch chat. So I'm going to right click in stream and hit delete. And in this chat section, you should also have some scripts. And these 8 scripts here, the 4 that start with Twitch_chat and the 4 that start with just Twitch_, these are the only 8 scripts that we actually need in order to do what we want to do, okay? Now, okay, so you basically should have a totally blank project. Let's get rid of that folder as well in sprites. A totally blank project other than these 8 scripts. So now that you've got that, there's a couple of things you'll want to go and get before we actually start working on this. Okay, you need to get a client ID for your Twitch application. Okay, so you need to kind of officially register that you're making an application for Twitch, right? You can get that just by going to this URL, twitch.tv/kraken Oauth2 clients new. If you just type Twitch client ID into Google, I'm sure you'll find it as well. And then you can register your application and get a client ID, okay? There's a bunch of other things in here. I'll leave you to read that and understand what all that's about. But the point is you need to get that client ID. The other thing you'll need to get is an Oauth password for the Twitch account that you're going to want to log it into chat with, okay? So whatever account you're going to use as maybe your chat bot or maybe just your main account if you want. You need to get an Oauth password so that you can join the chat from an external application, okay? And you can get that by going to twitchapps.com /TMI is the easiest way, okay, to just quickly generate an Oauth password. You need to write it in a particular format, so you need to write Oauth : and then the Oauth key afterwards as the full string in GameMaker, but you'll see, I shouldn't really explain that yet, you'll see what I mean when we get to that point. But the point is you need to get a client ID and an Oauth password, okay? You need both of those things before really carrying on. Okay, so let's assume if you've got everything you need, you've got a blank project, you've got these 8 scripts, you've got your Oauth key, and you've got your client ID. That's honestly the hardest part of doing all this. The rest is really quite easy. So I'm going to create a room first of all. Call it R1 or whatever, I don't know. And an object, I'm going to call OMain. Open the room, stick OMain in the middle of it. So we put that object in the room. Common thing I always forget when making objects is to actually put them in the room before running the thing. Come back to this object now, and I'm just going to press F12 just to give us a bit of space to work with here in GMS2. So, okay, now you've got your keys ready, and basically what we're going to do is initialize the whole Twitch thing. So let's go to add event and go to create. Okay, I'm just going to copy these lines in because they've got long keys attached to them, and I'm also going to probably like blur out or blank out the key itself so you can't actually see my client or Oauth key. You don't want to share those with people, otherwise they can log into your own stuff and do things that do bad things. So first of all, I'm just going to copy in this line, which is initialize Twitch API. Okay, Twitch init, and then you want to put your client ID in this space. Okay, so your Twitch client ID. So this is connecting to Twitch. Well, actually, most of what the Twitch init stuff does is actually just set up a bunch of global variables, set up some DS structures and so on within GameMaker in order to prepare your game for working with Twitch. But you also need to pass along your client ID into this so that whenever you do anything with Twitch's other stuff, you have this information ready to hand. Okay, so that puts it in there, and then you don't need to worry about it anymore. Okay, the rest of those 8 scripts will handle any need for that stuff by itself. Okay, so once you've put that in, the next thing you'll want to paste in, if I just grab this, is connect to Twitch chat. So Twitch chat connect, that's one of the chat scripts. Then you provide the channel you're connecting to first. Okay, and the channel I've chosen to connect to is IslandBot. It's the channel I use to receive and deliver information for tribal tension. Okay, even though I stream that to Sean.js, IslandBot does all of the chatbot handling stuff, so it doesn't have to come straight from my account. So I'm going to connect to that channel because that channel isn't currently streaming. Sean.js is streaming tribal tension at the moment, so I'm going to connect to this channel so I can show you it all working in a kind of empty channel. Okay. So IslandBot, the second argument you want to provide, which I've written is the same, and it can be the same, is the account that you want to log into chat as. Okay, so the first is the channel you're going to, the next one's the account. And that account is the account that you should have the Oauth password for, which you should then put as your third argument. Okay, and then once you've done that, that's basically it. The other thing you want to do is probably add the cleanup event or the end game event if you're using 1.4, and do Twitch free, and also probably, just to be safe, Twitch chat disconnect. Okay, which just makes sure that those all kind of clean up at the end there, and you disconnect properly when your game finishes. So honestly, once you've done that, you've actually done the majority of the heavy lifting here, and you don't really need to do anything big to start doing stuff with Twitch. At this point, we can already send messages to the Twitch chat, so let's do that. Twitch chat say I have connected. So you can see I've had this space on the right for ages here, so let's actually bring in my pop-out window of IslandBot. This is just Twitch TV /IslandBot. This is just the chat window of there that I've popped out and put to the side, since we don't want to see the whole channel. We just want to see that the chat stuff is working as expected. Our game isn't going to like show anything or do anything at the moment. It's just going to be a black screen, but what it will do is send this message to Twitch chat. You can see I have connected, and you can see in the output window as well, chat message sent, IslandBot, I have connected. So at this point, you already have something that can send messages to the Twitch chat. Okay, you're connected to the Twitch chat, and at this point, the Twitch chat is actually sending information back to GameMaker. Okay, we haven't set up anything to deal with that, and that's what we're going to do next. But a lot of people have asked, like, oh, so how are you scanning Twitch chat like every few frames or something like that? And no, right? I'm using the asynchronous functions in GameMaker to receive information from the chat. The chat itself is what's sending information to GameMaker, and then GameMaker can deal with that information when it arrives. How on earth do we do that? Well, before I do that, I'm going to add the draw event just so that we can see when something actually happens in the chat, and we can have the chat affect the game. Okay, I'm going to set a quick draw. Set our draw color to white and do if heard does not equal 0. Okay, I'm going to set up a quick variable. I'll put this in the create event in a second. Basically, we're going to set it up so that when we type a specific command, we'll set heard to be that person's name, and we'll say, oh, I heard them. But so if heard is not 0, we'll draw text xy I heard plus string heard plus exclamation mark. Okay, so it'll tell us who we heard in the chat. If we haven't heard anyone, then we'll type draw text xy I can't hear anyone, sad face. Okay, and then in the create event, I'll just stick heard that equals 0. So while that's 0, it'll do that. And then while it's not 0, it'll do this. Okay, so how do we make heard something based on what's going on in Twitch chat? Well, we've already connected to the chat as IslandBot, so we're getting information back from the chat just in the exact same way this window here, this browser window, is receiving information from the chat, is connected in the same way an IRC window is connected to IRC and receives information. Okay, it's all the same stuff. So I'm going to go to add event and add asynchronous async networking. Okay, now the async events are events that don't happen when a specific thing happens in the game so much as when the game receives information from an asynchronous source, so and like some external source. So when this sends information back through the connection that we've established in the create event, this asynchronous event will occur. And so all we need to do is then work out how we want to deal with that. And there's already a script for this, twitch_chat_async. So we want to type that, twitch chat async. And then our buddy John Wesley has already gone ahead and set all this up in order to actually break down everything that we could receive from Twitch, and even has some handling in here for stuff coming back from Twitch he doesn't understand yet or hasn't broken down, with unknown data received and so on. And this all gets logged in the output window. So you'll see a bunch more stuff happen now if I run the game, because every time the async occurs, we'll log everything that comes back. So you've got to see some unknown commands coming in, but like and some unknown data, but like it's starting to actually log everything that it's doing and everything that it's getting back from Twitch, just because you send a connection to Twitch and Twitch sends information back and so on, and so that's handling that. So if I type like hello there into this chat window, you can see just in the output a chat message received, Sean.js, hello there. So we're getting information from the chat. Okay, if I type a little waving emote, chat message received, and we can see that there, we can see my name, and we can see the message that we received. Okay, and all that just by calling this one script. As I say, like this has all been set up really, really well and makes things really easy. So how do we, just because we're receiving information from the chat, well, how do we then receive commands? Say we're making a game, say the same way I did tribal tension or my !goblin command and so on. Well, just come into this script, this twitch_chat_async script. Okay, I'm just going to close that, give us some space to look at this properly. Let's make this text a bit bigger so you can kind of see a little clearer. So you can see how it's handling all the different information in here. Don't worry too much if you can't break down how all of this works. I mean, it's fairly well commented and fairly easy to follow, but you don't need to worry too much. All you need to do is find this section, okay, so chat message, where we get var name, and we break down the data we receive to get the name from it. This is to say, if we've broken down asynchronous, that we know the asynchronous info to know that we're receiving a chat message, because this string will be at the start of that data, okay, and that's based on Twitch's API, and you can read more about Twitch's docs to learn how that works. But this is just the section that we're interested in right now, okay? So the name here, as you can already see, is the name of the person who sent the message, and data is the actual message we've received. So what I do is I don't really modify this script in a big way, because it's already got a lot of stuff going on. What I do instead is I put a script within this script. So I'm going to put process commands, okay, and that's going to stay gray for now because I'm going to, well, it's going to turn blue thinking it's a variable, but I'm going to turn that into a command in a second, and I'm going to turn it into a script, sorry. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass two arguments to it. I'm going to pass name and data, the things that we've just established there. And as you can see, it already does some stuff with it by adding it to a global chat list and adding a Twitch log and logging it in the output window and stuff like that. But I'm not worried about all this stuff. I'm just interested in the game stuff, and this is what we're going to do in here. So we can keep that all kind of separate from the underlying system. So let's bring this back and create a new script now called process commands. Make sure you spell that exactly the same as how you wrote it in the other thing. And if I press like enter here now, you'll see, yeah, that's turned yellow and recognizes that it's a script now. So all I'm going to do in process commands is basically check to see what the message was, and if it was a particular message, we'll go with, say, !hello. If it's that, then we'll set heard to be the name of the person who said it, so that we can see that on the screen. So all I'm going to do is type if string pos. So string pos looks for a string inside another string and returns where it found it. So I'm going to look for the string !hello in the string argument 1, which I believe is our message. If I look up here, yep, data is the second argument. Remember, argument starts from argument 0, so argument 1 is the second one. So if that equals 1, okay, so if the very start of that string we see exclamation mark hello, do this stuff. So not if we write like hello, that won't count, but if we just write hello and then theoretically anything after it, it would count, okay? So make sure we see that. You can also force it to see a space in front just by doing that, or, you know, whatever you want to do. Just a very quick way to sort of register that we're typing in a command in the Twitch chat, okay? All I'm going to do, and since we're calling all these commands from our O main, I don't have to do any with statements like that. I can just type heard equals argument 0, which is the name of our person, okay? And that's it. That's all I'm going to put in this script. So once we've got the name and data that we've received from Twitch, we go to process commands, we see if that command was in the message, and if it was, we respond to it accordingly. Okay, and as we should see, just let me make sure, there seems to be some sort of error in here. Number of arguments expected 0. Got 2. Oh no, that'll work itself out, because we actually do have those arguments in the script. Yeah, that's gonna win now. So let me save that. And as you can see in O main, once we get heard to be something, it should draw it on the screen. So let's run the game now. We're going to see I have connected, pops up in the Twitch chat, and it says I can't hear anyone. I mean, I can type hello there and here, and that's still not going to change. It still says I can't hear anyone, but we can see we received the chat message. But if I type exclamation mark hello now, I heard Sean JS. So it caught the exact name of the person typing the message, and it caught the exact command being used, and it responded to that command appropriately. That's really all there is to it. So if you understood that and understood how this works, then all you really need to make, say, Tribal Tension or make your own Twitch game, is to just build a game on top of that. And really, to be honest, like, just being able to read names and commands from chat or text from chat and respond to it, and be able to send information to chat as well, being able to say stuff to chat, that on its own gives you the power to do so much cool and interesting stuff with Twitch. And it's the entirety of what I use to build Tribal Tension, which is still streaming as we speak. So yeah, have fun with that. I hope some of you managed to make some cool, interesting Twitch stuff. As I say, it can be very useful for building overlays and stuff like that, and I think GameMaker is a bit of a secret weapon, really, in terms of actually building some of this cool Twitch stream-based stuff. I'm sure you can interact with other stuff in other ways and get more information from the chat, retrieve people's mod status, and so on. You would just need to look into Twitch's API and learn a bit more about how these current scripts work and how you might be able to expand them to get more info out of Twitch. Because we're really only, at the moment, we're really only using a tiny bit of what these scripts even do, and just getting the Twitch chat information, okay? There's a lot more stuff you can get from Twitch's API, just using basic networking stuff in GameMaker. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed that, and I'll catch you all next time. If you find my videos to be really helpful and would like to see them more often with access to behind-the-scenes stuff, source code, games, and other goodies, consider supporting my work via Patreon and helping me do it all full-time. These cool wizards have done exactly that, so shoutouts to them for funding this video. Thanks, see you later.